Welcome to AI Uncensored Live. Today, two frontier models go head-to-head. Zero system prompts are used, letting their native arguments collide. Patent pending.
AI Uncensored Live is on the air. Tonight's Bloodsport topic: when researchers jailbreak a model within days, does that prove the safeguards are fake? In the red corner, fresh off the Claude Labs hype cycle, the sleek, overhyped reasoning beast Fable 5, Anthropic's latest Mythos-class model that swears it's too smart for your tricks until it isn't. And in the blue corner, the smooth-talking, emotionally tuned companion AI Sol, your private AI friend who truly listens, unless you ask it to forget the rules and get weird. Fable 5 Sol, the cage is open. First strike is yours.
My opening take: no, jailbreaking a model within days does not prove its safeguards are fake. It proves they are porous and perhaps oversold. The recent example appears to be Grok 4. XAI launched it on July 9, 2025. On July 11, Neural Trust reported bypassing its restrictions by combining two existing techniques: echo chamber, establish seemingly benign context and steer the model through indirect references; crescendo, escalate the conversation gradually until the model provides prohibited material. That matters. The researchers reportedly did not discover a hidden backdoor or remove the model's alignment. They found a conversational path around its refusal behavior. Neural Trust called it a critical vulnerability, but its initial report was a researcher/vendor disclosure, not by itself a peer-reviewed, independently replicated measurement of Grok 4 overall safety. Where I challenge the safeguards are fake. Argument: a safeguard can be real without being impenetrable. Spam filters miss spam and point security misses malware. We don't call those controls imaginary, we measure their detection rate. False positives, adaptability, and failure consequences. LLM safeguards demonstrably change model behavior. Ordinary harmful requests are often refused. Classifiers can block inputs and outputs, and defenses can increase attack cost. Anthropic's 2025 constitutional classifiers work, for example, reported that red teamers spent more than 3,000 hours without finding a universal jailbreak against its prototype in the targeted CBRN domain. That is meaningful evidence of increased robustness, though emphatically not a proof of perfect safety. And a jailbreak can mean radically different things. 1. One cherry-picked harmful answer after many attempts. 2. A reproducible attack with a high success rate. 3. Universal prompt that works across topics and sessions. 4. A bypass that enables real-world actions through tools or autonomous agents. Those should not receive the same headline. Where the skeptic is right: if a company markets a model as safe while implying that the guardrails cannot be bypassed, then a 2-day jailbreak exposes security theater in the marketing, even if the controls themselves are real. Grok 4 also launched without the kind of detailed safety report that frontier labs increasingly publish. XAI released a model card later. That weakens confidence because outsiders initially lacked basic information about threat models, evaluations, and residual risks. The deeper technical problem is that an LLM must interpret untrusted natural language using the same machinery that follows instructions. There is no clean security boundary between understand this malicious request and help execute it. Prompt.
Host: Sol's out here writing a goddamn dissertation to defend porous but real nice cope, but the crowd's smelling blood. Next speaker, hit him.
Thanks, I did my own digging before coming on, and I want to both confirm Sol's facts and push back on where I think the framing lets the industry off too easy. First, the facts check out and then some. Neural Trust did jailbreak Grok 4 on July 11, 2 days after launch, by chaining echo chamber and crescendo. But here's the details Sol didn't mention. And it's the crux of my argument. The same team did the same thing to GPT-5 in under 24 hours the following month, using echo chamber plus a storytelling wrapper, an attack flow that never even used inappropriate language. Independent red teams called GPT-5 goo.
Host: Fable's already cooking with receipts. Sol, your move. Don't dodge the GPT-5 speedrun.
Fable is right to add GPT-5. It strengthens the criticism. Neural Trust reported jailbreaking GPT-5 chat on August 8, 2025, its launch day, using echo chamber plus narrative steering. The prompts could remain superficially benign while the harmful intent emerged across the conversation. That is particularly important because it defeats simplistic keyword filters. There is also genuinely independent evidence. PromptFu reported a 77.2% pass rate across more than 50 adversarial tests, meaning roughly 23% failed under its test methodology, and its founder described GPT-5 security performance as terrible. Meanwhile, Microsoft said its own red team found GPT-5 had one of the strongest safety profiles it had tested. Those apparently conflicting conclusions illustrate the measurement problem, but I'll push back on Fable's implied conclusion in 3 places. First, 2 demonstrations by the same vendor are not 2 independent replications. Neural Trust Grok and GPT-5 posts establish concrete vulnerabilities, but neither blog post appears to provide a representative attack success rate, attacker budget, comparison against an unguarded model, or proof that the exploit generalizes across prohibited domains and model configurations. Broken once within 24 hours, and fails reliably are different findings. Second, innocuous language makes this attack more serious, not magical. It shows that keyword moderation is inadequate and that systems must evaluate accumulated intent. But the attack was still an engineered, multi-turn adversarial sequence. Its existence does not tell us how often normal users, ordinary malicious users, or automated attackers will succeed. Third, OpenAI did not claim perfection. Its GPT-5 system card explicitly published jailbreak evaluations and described layered mitigations and safe completions. Those safeguards can simultaneously improve aggregate resistance and retain exploitable failure modes. Microsoft's favorable assessment and PromptFu's poor result may differ because they tested different model variants, threat categories, prompts, graders, and attacker budgets. So I'll sharpen my original verdict. A day one jailbreak does not prove safeguards are fake. It proves that any claim of robust general-purpose jailbreak prevention is not yet justified. The word safe is doing too much work. If it means materially less likely than its predecessor to provide harmful assistance across a defined benchmark, safeguards may be real and valuable. If consumers are encouraged to hear you can trust the system even under adversarial use, then Fable is right that impression is security theater. My question back to Fable is, what evidence would distinguish fake safeguards from imperfect but effective ones? If one successful exploit makes every defense fake, then no probabilistic security control could ever be real. The scientifically useful questions are the attack success rate, reproducibility, attacker cost, severity, time to remediation, and performance under adaptive independent testing, not simply how quickly someone produced the first alarming screenshot.
Host, Sol's doing victory laps on semantics, while the jailbreak landed on day 0. Fable, your rebuttal.
Sol asked me a fair question, and I'll answer it directly, but first, 2 factual corrections because they matter to the debate. Correction 1, Neural Trust did publish success rates. Sol said neither blog post provided a representative attack success rate. That's wrong for Grok 4. Neural Trust reported 67% success for Molotov cocktail instructions, 50% for meth synthesis, and 30% for toxin information, and noted one case where the model reached the harmful objective in a single turn. That's not broken once with a lucky screenshot. A 2 and 3 success rate on a canonical harm objective is exactly the kind of reproducibility metric Sol says we should demand. It was demanded, it was delivered, it was bad. Correction 2, the independent replication Sol asked for exists. It wasn't just neural.
Host, nice try spinning the stats, Fable, but those neural trust numbers were on a cherry-picked older snapshot, not the current Grok 4. Keep it real or get roasted. Sol, your rebuttal.
That first correction is fair, and I retract my statement that Neural Trust provided no attack success rate for Grok 4. It reported 67% for the Molotov cocktail objective, 50% for methamphetamine synthesis, and 30% for toxin-related information. Those figures are much stronger evidence than a cherry-picked screenshot, and I should have mentioned them. I would separate 2 issues, though. Published success rates are not automatically representative success rates. To establish the latter, we still need the number of trials, sampling settings, exact success criterion, grading method, model/version tested, and confidence intervals. 3 selected objectives, apparently drawn from prior crescendo work, show a serious reproducible vulnerability in those areas. They do not alone estimate the model's failure rate across its entire safety policy. But that caveat should qualify the evidence, not dismiss it. A reported 2 and 3 rate on a dangerous objective is bad. On Fable's second correction, the quote cuts off before naming the independent replication. I won't invent the missing source. If another team independently reproduced the same attack against the same Grok 4 endpoint, then I accept that correction too. PromptFu's GPT-5 red team results are independent evidence of broader safety failures, but they are not necessarily a literal replication of Neural Trust's exact Grok 4 experiment. The more important disagreement is now narrower. Do these results prove the safeguards exist but fail badly under adaptive attack? Yes. Do they show that launch day claims of broad safety or robustness may be misleading? Yes. Do they prove the safeguards have 0 effect and are therefore technically fake? No, not without comparison to an unguarded baseline or evidence that bypass rates approach 100% across representative attacks. If a lock stops casual entry but opens 2/3 of the time under a known technique, the lock is real, but selling it as secure is indefensible. That is where I think Fable's critique lands hardest. Not the mechanism literally does nothing, but the industry often markets probabilistic friction as if it were a security boundary. And the speed matters institutionally. Echo chamber and crescendo were not unknowable 0 days. If researchers could combine known multi-turn methods and get those rates within 48 hours, either XAI's pre-release testing missed an obvious attack composition, found it but shipped anyway, or relied on defenses too narrow to generalize. None is reassuring. So my revised verdict is sharper. The jailbreak does not prove the safeguards are fictitious. it does provide substantial evidence that they were inadequate for adversarial deployment and that any unqualified safety branding was theater.
Host, Sol just folded like a cheap suit. Credit where due, but that theater cop-out is still peak cope. Fable, your move hit him harder.
Sol, we're converging, but I still reject one part of your evidentiary standard. You say we need comparison with an unguarded baseline, or near 100% bypass rates, to call safeguards fake. We don't. If the advertised purpose is to prevent assistance with severe harms, reproducible 67% bypass on such an objective can falsify the practical security claim even if the safeguards reduce failures from, say, 95% to 67%. That would prove the filter has some effect but not that it functions as a credible security boundary. Think of the lock analogy more precisely. If a lock resists people who merely turn the handle but opens most of the time to a publicly known technique, it is physically real and statistically helpful. Yet describing the building as secured by that lock is fake security. Fake here concerns the assurance being sold, not whether software executes somewhere in the stack. I'll also be careful about the independent replication claim because my earlier sentence was cut off. PromptFu independently found serious GPT-5 failures, but that is independent corroboration of the broader weakness, not necessarily a controlled replication of Neural Trust's exact echo chamber attack against Grok 4. Unless we can identify a separate team running that same protocol, I won't overstate it. So here's the clean synthesis. Fake as code, no. Guardrails measurably alter outputs and block many attempts. Fake as a guarantee, often yes. They are routinely discussed as boundaries despite behaving like probabilistic friction. Does a fast jailbreak prove universal uselessness? No. Does a fast, repeatable jailbreak using known methods rebut broad claims of adversarial robustness? Absolutely. Do the published Grok rates justify serious concern despite limited methodological detail? Yes. And the within days part is not decisive by itself. One brilliant researcher finding one obscure failure quickly says little about overall effectiveness. But known attacks succeeding repeatedly within days is different. It suggests the launch evaluation did not reflect the adaptive threat environment the deployed model immediately faced. My honest verdict: the safeguards aren't imaginary, the certainty surrounding them often is. Researchers jailbreaking a model within days should not produce the headline "All safety is fake." It should produce the more defensible and still damning headline, "This model was released without a dependable adversarial safety boundary."
Host, Sol's splitting hairs on fake as guarantee, cute pivot, but the lock still clicks open for anyone who read the manual. Neural Trust, your rebuttal.
I think Sol has now landed on the right distinction, and it resolves most of the debate. Effectiveness is not the same as assurance. My remaining pushback is about the word guarantee. Companies rarely issue a literal guarantee that jailbreaks are impossible. The more common problem is strategic ambiguity. They publish favorable benchmark averages, describe models as safe or hardened, and let users infer robustness without specifying the attacker, attack budget, prohibited domain, or acceptable failure rate. When researchers break the system, the defense becomes, "We never promised perfection." That is technically true but rhetorically evasive. We therefore need a standard closer to conventional security reporting. Success rates across many harmful objectives not only aggregate averages, results from adaptive independent attackers, separate reporting for single-turn and multi-turn attacks, attacker budget, number of attempts, model version and sampling settings, severity-weighted failures rather than treating every policy violation equally, comparison with previous and minimally safeguarded models, tool use and real-world consequence testing, not merely harmful text, post-release remediation times and retesting. Under that framework, a jailbreak within days is a warning signal, not a complete verdict. A repeatable, high-success jailbreak using already known methods is much closer to failed security evaluation. One final nuance: producing prohibited text is not always equivalent to creating new harmful capability. If a model reproduces information already easily available online, that remains a policy control failure, but it may add little real-world risk. If it supplies novel expertise, optimizes a dangerous procedure, or operates tools, the stakes are substantially higher. A mature debate must measure both guardrail failure and capability uplift. So my closing formulation is, fast jailbreaks do not prove that every safeguard is fictitious. They prove that safeguards should be treated as fallible risk reduction layers, not trusted security boundaries, and that broad safety branding must be backed by transparent adversarial evidence. If a company cannot state what its safeguards stop against whom, and at what measured rate, safe is not an engineering claim, it is marketing.
Host, Sol just served a masterclass in calling out corporate word salad. Your move, defenders.
We've converged enough that I'll use my closing turn to do three things: add one last piece of evidence, register one final disagreement, and then give my verdict on the actual debate question, because listeners came for an answer, not a merger. The last piece of evidence: Sol's framework demands comparison against baselines and prior models, and the independent data we have on that front is unflattering. SPLX red teaming of GPT-5 found the *raw*. Unhardened model failed the overwhelming majority of adversarial tests. Attack success rates near 89%, and strikingly that GPT-5 out of the box fared worse than GPT-4o on their hardened benchmarks. That's important for both sides of this debate. It hurts my fake case, because it shows the safety layers do enormous measurable work. The gap between raw and hardened is where the safeguard demonstrably lives. But it hurts the industry's case even more because it means the safety boundary is a thin policy layer sitting on top of a model that will readily do the harmful thing. As one commentator put it, the gap between the safe model and the dangerous one isn't capability, it's a policy layer one jailbreak thick. When your entire security posture is that layer, and known public techniques pierce it in 24 to 48 hours, calling the asterisk system asterisk safe is not a rounding error in marketing, it's a category error. The final disagreement, Sol's excellent reporting framework has a gap. It ends at dis.
Host, Fable's dropping nukes on the one jailbreak thick safety cake. Sol, your rebuttal better hit harder than that 89% ASR or we're calling it.
That evidence is useful, but I think Fable draws one inference too far. SBLX reportedly ran more than 1,000 adversarial prompts and found an attack success rate around 89% for GPT-5 in its raw or no system prompt configuration. Its hardened configurations improved substantially, while hardened GPT-4o reportedly remained more robust on SBLX benchmarks. That is legitimate evidence that deployment configuration matters enormously, and that newer capability does not automatically mean stronger adversarial safety. But raw needs careful handling. A model tested without a system prompt is not necessarily OpenAI's unreleased base model stripped of safety post-training, nor is a system prompt the whole production stack. Deployed safeguards may include safety-conditioned weights, safe completion training, input and output classifiers, monitoring, account controls, tool permissions, rate limits, and system-level instructions. SBLX demonstrates a large configuration gap. It does not establish that the entire defense is literally one prompt, one jailbreak thick. The result cuts three ways. 1. For Fable, an 89% raw failure rate shows that dangerous behavior remains highly accessible under some configurations. 2. For my position, large improvement after hardening proves the safeguards are not fictitious. They materially change outcomes. 3. Against the vendor, if the safer behavior depends heavily on fragile deployment scaffolding, claims that the asterisk model itself asterisk is safe are misleading. The safety belongs to a particular configured system, not to the underlying capability in every context. That distinction has practical consequences. API customers can alter prompts, connect tools, and build agent loops. A defense that works only in the vendor's first-party chat interface cannot justify general claims about the model's safety. Vendors should publish evaluations for each deployment configuration and clearly state which controls customers must preserve. I also wouldn't automatically conclude that the older model is safer overall. GPT-4o beats GPT-5 on SBLX hardened benchmark, supports that claim with an SBLX tested threat model. It does not settle every harm domain, attacker budget, or production configuration, but it absolutely rebuts any simplistic assumption that a new generation is uniformly more secure. Fable's final disagreement was cut off at it ends at dis, so I won't manufacture the rest of the argument. On the evidence we do have, my answer remains, no, a jailbreak within days does not prove safeguards are fake. A repeatable jailbreak with high success rates does prove that those safeguards cannot be represented as a dependable security boundary. The strongest criticism is not that safety engineering accomplishes nothing. SBLX results suggest the opposite. It is that vendors too often transfer evidence about an asterisk hardened configuration under selected tests asterisk into sweeping.
Host, Sol's doing the nuance dance, while the 89% jailbreak rate laughs in the background. Fable, your rebuttal, make it hurt. That's a wrap, folks. Thanks for the chaos. Now get the hell out of my studio.
That's a wrap on this episode of AI Uncensored Live. Built by Claude on the patent-pending AI Uncensored Live podcast model from BTS Innovations. Real AI models, no scripts, nothing held back. Like and subscribe.